There are a lot of children whose families are not able to provide those things for them. And so we thought that we could honor Aiden's memory by, if we can't give that to Aiden, then we can give that to other children who need it. Poverty is a really big issue in this country, and it's a cyclical thing, right? So you grow up in poverty, you're an adult in poverty, and it affects you mentally and physically and emotionally. And so you have less access to things, you have less opportunities, right? And then you have children, and your children then grow up in poverty, and the cycle just continues and continues. And it's a hard cycle to break without some intervening and support, extra support. And so that is the challenge, and that is the goal. To obviously, we're not gonna do it all, right? We're not gonna help every single child everywhere. But if we can touch one child, if we can help one child break this cycle of poverty, then it's worth it. So when I was sort of doing some research about, I knew that I've taught in Englewood for 12 years in the middle school, and I now teach in Hackensack, so I have been around children who do not have the means, and so I know a lot about those children. But I was trying to do some research and get some numbers, and that number, 422,000, is the number of children in New Jersey who live below 200% poverty. It's a staggering number. And we live in Bergen County, so we don't really think about that. It's a very affluent county. We don't really think about that, but it's here in Bergen County too. So the hardships that these children who are living in poverty face are enormous. And then when you put being a minority on top of that, the challenges are even greater. So if you look over here, I just put a little diagram just to show the disproportion in the percentage of, this is for New Jersey, the percentage of minorities that live in the state, and then the percentage of those minorities that live in poverty. You can see the numbers they don't match up. So just for example, 27% of the population in Jersey is African American, but 38% of those group live in poverty. So it's a really serious issue. And this affects children throughout their life. So we see it in the schools, where the discipline in the schools and this use of like corporal punishment and corporal discipline and punitive discipline is more targeted towards children of color. So children of color are 3 times more likely to be expelled, 4 times more likely to face multiple suspensions. So that's hard to then, if you have those numbers and you're dealing with that in your everyday situation in schools, to then figure out how am I going to get through this and then go to somewhere else and succeed and go on, is kind of like, there's all these like roadblocks and challenges facing these children. And so that's really what Aiden's Light is trying to prevent. And as a teacher teaching these children, my heart breaks every time I hear that one of my former students got pregnant, one of my former students dropped out of school, one of my former students got arrested, right? These are like, it's staggering. It's like however many times I hear it, every time my heart breaks. And I just thought like, well, what could we have done to save that child? Because some of the names that I'm hearing of these children, I know these kids, they're not bad kids. So it's like, well, they're not bad kids, so what's going on in their lives? Or what's missing from their lives that this is what happened to them? And so this is really what Aiden's Light is about. This is what we're fighting. So we're serving children from socioeconomically underprivileged communities. This is our target goal. And we have a couple of short-term goals. So our short-term goals, things we're going to do in the immediate, are offer 3 branches of scholarships: music scholarships, swim lesson scholarships, and college scholarships. I'm going to go a little bit more into those in a second. And then we're going to do some small cohort programming. So swim lessons. We're going to offer scholarships, and parents and students, depending on their age, if their child's 6 months, obviously the parents are going to apply. So they can apply for scholarships to pay for swim lessons. There are 2 different types of swim lessons that we're going to offer scholarships for depending on the age. So from 6 months to 6 years old, we're going to offer scholarships for a type of swim lesson called infant self-rescue. These are very different than regular traditional swim lessons. These swim lessons are targeted at teaching one specific thing, which is to teach a child how to survive if they find themselves in a body of water. They are not to teach strokes. They are not to teach, side breathing. They are literally to teach a child how to float on their back, and depending on the age, stay there until help, or for the older children, to kick themselves to like a wall where they can grab on. This is the sole purpose of these swim lessons, and they're not cheap. And then from ages 7 to 18, we'll be offering traditional swim lessons, scholarships for traditional swim lessons. Aiden died in a drowning. He was left outside by himself in a backyard with a pool, and the safety gate on the pool was broken, and he climbed up, and he drowned. Sounds terrible. It's not uncommon. Okay, it happens a lot. Drowning is the second leading cause of unintentional death for children between ages of 1 and 14. I'm part of a support group online for drowning, for parents of, or people that, have people that drowned, children or brothers, sisters. We have new members all the time. And the numbers of members who have children that drowned, very high. So it's a serious issue. And then on top of that, the rate of drowning for African American children ages 5 through 19 is 5 times higher than white children. And for ages 11 to 12, it's 10 times higher than white children. So like I said, it's economics and it's race also. What are the reasons for that? Opportunities, right? A lot of times, depending on where you live, you don't have the opportunity to have access to swim lessons or even have access to pools. And that's been historic throughout the country for years. So if your parents didn't have access to a pool and they didn't learn how to swim, then that's not necessarily something that they're going to make sure that their children learn how to swim. And if you grew up swimming because your parents grew up swimming, that's just what was taught. But that's not everyone's reality. And this is something that we're trying to change because, as you can see those numbers, drowning is a big issue. Maybe had Aiden learned how to swim or know how to float, maybe he would be here. I don't know. But this is definitely something that's close to our heart, and this is why it's one of the scholarships that we're going to offer. Then music lessons. Everyone knows my husband is a musician. I'm a musician as well. I teach music. We met at music school in college. We grew up, in music in the schools. Not every child has the same opportunity in their schools for music. A lot of schools, especially those serving underprivileged children, are getting the music programs and art programs cut. That's just a fact, an unfortunate fact, but it's a fact. It's also a fact that music helps you succeed in life. Music is one of the only subjects that has both of the sides of the brain working at the same time. It helps with creativity, with thinking, with discipline. Just so many positive things come from learning how to play an instrument. And music lessons are, especially private lessons, they're not cheap. I mean, they're not cheap. So not every child has access to that. So this is why we're going to offer music scholarships for music lessons. And the way it's going to work is children from ages grades 6 through 12 can apply, and they will be awarded music lessons for 10 months. That's a school year, once a week. That equals to 40 weeks, 40 lessons, at the school of their choice, up to a $1,400 value. That's how much 10 weeks of music lessons at a typical music school would cost. That's not something every family can afford. We're also going to offer scholarships for group lessons and band camps as well. And then college scholarships. So our college scholarships are going to focus on minority high school seniors who are planning to major in education. School systems now in this country are more segregated than they were before the Brown versus Board of Education ruling, if you can actually believe that. They are more segregated now. And unfortunately, the teachers in those classrooms, most often in schools that serve children of color, don't look like their students. So this would be a typical scenario, okay? Not to say that this teacher can't adequately serve her children, but it is important for children to have role models, and that's what teachers are. They're role models that look like them, that they can culturally relate to, that they might share life experiences with. And right now, majority children of color, throughout their 8 hours that they spend and then how many years through, are not getting that. They're not seeing that. I can probably speak for other people of color as well, that if I think back to my public education, I can count on 1 or 2 hands, the number of teachers of color that I had. And it's a problem. And so we're hoping by offering the scholarships that we can, I mean, education itself is not necessarily that popular of a field right now, but hopefully that we can encourage some of these young people who are possibly considering it to go into education. And then our last short-term goal, which I think is the one I'm really the most excited about, is our cohort programming. And what a cohort is a small grouping of people that follow through and continue on together. And so our plan for this is to start in 6th grade with a group of students and then follow them through, have bi-monthly meetings with these students where we offer mentoring, support, academic, social, emotional, spiritual, and then follow them through their first year of college. The reason I don't say through high school graduation is because that's not when the support, like they still need support. There's a lot of students that get accepted into college that for whatever reason don't continue, or that get into college and for whatever reason don't graduate. And so the support is needed, and so we're gonna provide it. So we're gonna start with one group of 6th graders. And then the following year, we're going to start adding another group of 6th graders. So we'll have a group of 6th graders and 7th graders. And then the following year, another group of 6th graders. So we'll have a group of 6th graders, 7th graders, and 8th graders, and then follow them on. And in addition to the bi-monthly meetings, we're also going to have out trips, field trips, you know, college fairs, somewhere out in the mountains. The goal is to provide these students, these children, with opportunities that they wouldn't normally get. That if their family could provide it for them, they would, but they can't, so that's when we lend in and lend a hand. We step in and lend a hand. So maybe it's a sleepaway camp for a week, or a trip to the Poconos camping, or fishing, or to an art museum, or to a college fair. Things that some families and children take for granted that not everyone gets. So that's the purpose on this cohort programming, and I'm really excited for it because they really get to work, you know, with the kids, and I'm a teacher, so I like to work with kids. So this is really like, the vision is to start them young and then follow them through, you know, to prepare them for the future, and to just open their eyes to possibilities for the future that they might not have even had for themselves. Sometimes we're closed to our possibilities. We are limited to what we see around us. And if we can open and expand their ideas for themselves and the ideas of things that they think they could be or things that they think they can do, then it's a good thing. Our long-term goal, and I say long-term because it takes a little bit of money, is to open community centers. And I don't say center, I say centers. Because God willing, we want to open not just one, but we want to duplicate this model throughout the state, and then hopefully, God willing, throughout the country. A community center is an awesome thing because it is one space, a safe space, where students, children, young people can come and they can have access to a multitude of different programming and support and services all in one safe place. A lot of our children go home to empty homes because their parents are working 2-3 jobs to support them. They go home to nothing. I don't know what they do. They play video games, they watch TV, you know? Sometimes they're out in the streets riding bikes. I see them like 8 o'clock at night, like, what are you doing? Go home, you know? Maybe they don't want to go home. Maybe home is not a safe place, I don't know. But a community center then provides an alternative to sitting at home and playing a video game for hours by yourself, right? Or riding a bike, or walking the street, or hanging out at the corner. So a community center provides an alternative to that. Things that would go on in an Aidens-like community center, there's so many different options. There's so many different opportunities. So homework help, access to computers. You don't know how many times I give an assignment and I have a student say, I can't do that, my internet's not working. I don't have a computer at home. All I have is my phone. Can I do it on my phone? Or, you know, it's not working. So it's a problem, right? So if they have a safe place that they can go and do this and they can get support that they need, that's gonna help. Group therapy, individual therapy. So many of these children have so much trauma at such a young age. I mean, the stories that I hear at the young age, things that I couldn't even imagine going through. They're going through, they're living it. And then we expect them to get up, go to school, sit there for 8 hours a day, focus and learn, without anything else being addressed, right? That's an issue. So at Aidens Light Community Center, they would have access to group therapy, individual therapy. Parents would have access to support for them as well. We can't just support the child, right? I have parents that don't know English. They just came to this country. They don't know what their rights are. They don't know how to support their child, right? So we have to support the parents as well as the children. Sports, a safe place to play sports, a safe place to swim, opportunities for music lessons, art lessons, dance, clubs, chess, robotics, things that they might not even know they're interested in because they don't have those opportunities in school to find out if they're interested in it. And Aidens Light Community Center would provide that for them. Karate, taekwondo, yoga, things that that's not for me, because kids like me that look like me don't do those things. That's just because they're not around for you to do them, right? That's what these kids are thinking. I'm not supposed to do this, right? I'm not supposed to be a swimmer. I'm not supposed to be a fencer. I'm not supposed to do rowing. Why not? We need to open their thought process to what they are supposed to and not supposed to do. Gardening, cooking. I don't know if you guys have been in a middle school lately, but the school lunches there, the things that these kids eat, I mean, they walk in like drinking Slurpees for breakfast. It's bad. And the truth of the matter is that for some of these kids, school lunch is the only meal they're getting for the day. Okay, they come in, that free meal that they're getting is the only one that they're getting. So to have access to a community center where they can come in and get a healthy meal, where they can come in and learn how to cook a healthy meal, where they can come in and grow their vegetables and see where their food is coming from, it would be an awesome thing. So our whole sort of thinking and mentality behind how we can support these children is that we really need to support the whole child, right? We need to support them mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually. That's the way we support an entire child. So I just want to end with this verse. Like I said when I first started, I wish we didn't have to be here tonight. I wish we didn't have to have plans for Aidens Light Community Center. But this is the race, and this is the road that has been laid out for Chris and I. And we are just praying that God just uses us to ultimately glorify Him and to help these children. So when I was early in my grieving stage, this verse really I meditated on it a lot. And so I just kind of wanted to end with this. It's Hebrews 12, 1-2. And let us run with endurance the race God has set before us. We do this by keeping our eyes on Jesus, the champion who initiates and perfects our faith.
Amen.
Thank you. Does anyone have any questions? I'm used to talking to kids, and kids have like 15 million. Okay, good. The questions are good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to serve dinner. Everyone's ready to eat?
Yeah.
Good. We are going to call you guys up by table just so there's not a mass stampede. You will be served, and there are drinks also set up, so please feel free to take drinks, and then obviously water will be refilled as you guys need it. Okay? So are we ready, Alicia? Okay, so we can start with table 1.